Hi, this is Jess Geisler, and you're listening to Mike Delivers with Mike Biseglia. I know Mike because he is the father of my child, and I am beyond excited to listen to this episode because it features the two sexiest podcasters named Mike with Chain Restaurant Podcasts.
Welcome inside Mike Delivers from his wife's 2017 Toyota RAV4. Here's your host, Mike Biseglia.
That's right, this is Mike Delivers, episode number 129. And I'm your host, Mike Biseglia. And I'm coming to you from my wife's 2017 Toyota RAV4. I'm currently outside of the Samurai Sushi in East Rutherford, New Jersey. And according to the Samurai Sushi's IG, which is Instagram, I'm hip, they have the best sushi in town. I actually did a double delivery from them on Sunday evening, which made me a grand total of $20 in 40 minutes, if you're trying to get an idea of what kind of money you can make doing Uber Eats. I've done 1,772 deliveries, have not, will not steal food from anybody, and a little bragging point here, I now have a 100% satisfaction rating. Don't believe me? Head over to my Instagram page or my Twitter page at Mike Delivers Pod, and you can see I tweeted out or put it out on Instagram the 100% satisfaction rating, which is freaking incredible because I thought it was going to go down, which you'll hear about in a second with my interview, but my rating went from 99 to 100. Now, granted, they only keep track of the last 100 deliveries, but still, perfect execution on the last 100 for people that's given me a rating. Interview coming up in a matter of moments with Mitch, Mike Mitchell from the Doughboys, an incredible podcast that he is on. My wife absolutely loves and adores his podcast. She turned me on to his podcast, and it's simply incredible. It's the Doughboys. If you have not heard it, I highly recommend you check it out. If you like the Mike Delivers podcast, you will love the Doughboys podcast. We'll get into all of that. That's coming up in just a little bit. Hey, don't forget the Mike Delivers podcast is also on Patreon. Head over to patreon.com, type in Mike Delivers, or download the app on your phone, Patreon, then check out Mike Delivers. Bonus content, blindfolded food reviews. My wife and I put the video camera on for this, and this is not going to sound kinky. You just get to see us recording our podcast, seeing us try different foods. There's a bonus of 40 episodes on there. So if you're at 129 and you wish it was on what's 129 plus 40? 169. Head over to the Mike Delivers Patreon page. And my favorite thing that we're doing right now on this page is at the end of every month, we're doing these food battles between a local restaurant and a chain restaurant. This month's theme is side dishes. So head on over to Patreon, and this will be coming out in a couple of days. We're going to do pasta from a local place, linguine with red sauce, and then pasta from an Olive Garden, linguine with red sauce. I'll be blindfolded. I'll try both of them, and I'll see which one is better. We've been doing this with pancakes. We did this with buffalo wings. And head on over to there, patreon.com, Mike Delivers. You get all this bonus content. Also want to say, if you want to create your own podcast, you want to do something where you're talking about sports, food delivery like me, or maybe for your small business, I can help create for you a podcast. Email me at theprosclub@gmail.com, and we'll teach you how to set up your own podcast, which is pretty cool. All right, enough of the administrative bullshit. Before I start the interview with my guy Mitch, who was simply incredible, I think everybody's going to love this conversation. I do want to say, this is not a story from the road, but just something that's now happening to me on the road as the weather starts to turn and it's getting colder. This is simply remarkable. So, obviously, during this pandemic, everybody's wearing masks. I mean, you see people with masks all over the place. So, it was really cold on one of the nights I was doing deliveries. Like, it was really frickin' cold. And I decided to wear my Brooklyn Nets winter cap. Now, I know my wife says I look terrible in this thing. I just got to keep warm. I got to keep snuggly. I got to make sure that I can deliver the food to the right people on the streets of Essex County. That's what I'm here for. But it never really occurred to me, I need a haircut. My hair looks terrible. So I've got shaggy hair coming out of the side of this winter cap. I've got the winter cap on my head. And then, of course, I have a mask that's draped over my face for obvious reasons. So if you look at me, I look like I'm about to go, rob a bank or something. All you can see are my fucking eyes. So this didn't really occur to me what my look looked like, but I started to do drop-offs, and I went to somebody's house, and I was dropping off friendlies, and I get to this woman's door, and she's like, I'm sorry, can I help you, or who are you here with? I'm like, I'm the delivery driver with friendlies, and she's like, okay, thank you. I'm like, that's weird. First of all, I'm holding this fucking bag of friendlies. Why would she even question it? Isn't she expecting food to come? Didn't really cross my mind. Did it again to a drop-off. Hey, are you a food delivery driver? Again, I'm like, what is going on here? Nobody usually questions it. They see me, they know I'm the food guy. Happened a third time. And then it dawned on me as I looked in the mirror. I look terrifying. I've got a mask and a hat on. I look like I'm about to rob you. I look like I'm, trying to protect my identity so that I don't fucking go steal your wallet. A consequence I did not think of when doing Uber Eats in a pandemic. Obviously, taking everything safe, cleaning my hands every time and doing all the protocols and everything, wearing a mask, cleaning my hands with the hand sanitizer, but never thought to myself, I'm going to look like I'm part of the wet bandits in Home Alone. That was not something I believed would occur before all of this shit went down, but it did. So this was not everybody else. This was me for not remembering. I look like a complete and utter fool. All right, interview time now. Mike Mitchell, better known as Mitch. He's got an incredible podcast that he co-hosts called The Doughboys. He's an actor, he's a comedian, and he is just a great person to chat all things food with. And I'm really excited for everybody to hear my convo with Mitch. He's also a Boston Celtics fan, which sucks. But I respect the fact that he loves the NBA, even if it's a team that I absolutely dread and hate. At least it's not the New York Knicks. I'll give him that. It's the Celtics, not the Knicks. All right, here's my convo with Mitch, talking food delivery and a little hoops as well. All right, it's the Mike Delivers podcast, and I'm excited to have on the line today Mike Mitchell, better known as Mitch. He's the co-host of The Doughboys, which is the best podcast for fast food breakdown in the business. I swear, it is the best one ever. My wife got me into it. She got me turned on to the podcast. She also gets me turned on too, but that's another story. He's an actor, he's a comedian, and unfortunately, he is a Boston Celtics fan. Mitch, thank you for joining the Mike Delivers podcast. I appreciate it, man.
Yes, I'm happy your wife's turning you on. That's a good sign. That's a good sign in the marriage.
It is. I guess we're 12 years going. And I'll be honest, I think she turns me on now more than we originally got together. But
wow.
I do. I'll be honest.
Hey, you're more comfortable with someone after 12 years. Congratulations. That's fantastic.
Thank you. I do appreciate that.
I want to also quickly say that's a rare. Usually it's the role reversal where it's a husband like making his wife listen to the podcast, but I love it when it's the other way around. That doesn't happen too often.
Yeah, so. It's the other way. We went and saw you and Nick in New York City. This is pre-pandemic, of course. This was It was for her. I got tickets of you guys for her birthday in New York at the I can't say the Grand Marcy Theater in New York City, and we saw you guys.
Yeah, Grand Marcy. Yeah. I remember that. Yeah, it's just this now a full year ago, I guess.
Yeah, exactly. Right. Exactly.
Crazy.
Like 13, 14 months. It was a fun night too, because like I at the time was doing sports radio, the morning shift. So I got up at like 3 a.m. every day for 5 years. So I think your show started at like 11 o'clock or 10 o'clock. And the whole night was just like alcohol, coffee to try to get to the place. And then when we were there, we were great. But I was like, oh my God, I haven't stayed up past 9 o'clock in 5 years. I was like, this is late for me.
That was a fun show with Hanford, right? It was Hanford and Paul Rust and and Fran, right? Fran Gillespie.
I believe so, but I don't want to screw it up.
Oh yeah, no, that was a good crew.
Yeah, we had fun.
A good show. Oh, I was gonna say that it was very nice of you to say that we're the best podcast of a very, very specific niche. It's like a very niche, we are the best fast food rating podcast maybe out there, and possibly also the only one.
Yeah, well, my wife and I we do something like a little bit of a gimmick that's similar, but not quite the same. As we'll have Uber Eats deliveries come to us, and then like I'll rate the the food, the overall experience of it. But it's more than just breaking down the fast food restaurants.
Then guess what? We're in second place. Then if you're competition, we're in second place.
No. I do want to tell you this. So I've done more than 1,700 food deliveries now as an Uber Eats driver, and this happened to me for the first time ever. And it's ultimately it's on my shoulders. I can't put the blame on you, but you play a part in this. So, I'm addicted to my phone, as most people are these days. I wasn't checking my phone as I was driving, but I was dropping off an order for somebody at this apartment complex. And when I parked, I stopped. I saw that I had an email pop up on my phone. So I was like, I'm addicted to my phone. Let's see what the email says. So I clicked on the email, and it was a response from you saying you're game to come on the podcast. I was pumped. I got excited. But I forgot half of the guy's order. I left his iced tea in the car.
Wow.
So I dropped him off the food. Then I called my wife. I was all excited. And then like 10 minutes later, I went, holy shit, I didn't drop off the iced tea. So 1,700 deliveries. Only time I've ever fucked this up is because I got an email from you. True story.
That's wild. What did you do? Did you go back, or did you just call and tell them sorry, or what?
I did none of the above. I just kept going. Nothing.
Wow.
That was it. So I kept the iced tea, and he still tipped me like $7, but it was 20 minutes later.
Maybe he forgot the iced tea too.
He may have just been like, maybe the restaurant screwed it up. And I was like, oh no, I can't believe I've never done this before where I left part of the order in my car.
Wow. Hey, but it sounds like you do a great job. I mean, truly, that's fantastic. I've had it where a drink is forgotten.
Yeah.
And it can be a bummer, but then also like you also feel bad because that is like, first of all, like you were saying, it can be I feel like probably like 99% of the time it's probably the restaurant's fault, and not
right.
that's even a big mistake. It's just that they don't see that there's a drink on the item list or whatever. But then like in the small percentage that it maybe even is the driver's fault, like I don't want to be an asshole and be like, they forgot the drink. But a lot of the times I feel like places will be pretty good with just reimbursing for a drink if a drink is forgotten. Yeah. But I don't even know. I've talked about this with friends. Like, should you report that if your drink isn't there? Should you say that there isn't a drink there, or should you just forget about it? You know what I mean? Like,
yeah,
it's kind of tough to figure out.
Yeah, I mean, for a drink, I would say don't do it. And it's funny too, because like from this guy, I'm dropping off the food. Let's say he was really annoyed. He thinks I'm a terrible delivery driver. But when you do thousands upon thousands of deliveries, there's going to be a time, jokes aside, where something like a drink stays in your car by accident.
100%.
It's gonna happen.
So the better thing to do is just not say to Uber, hey, my drink is missing.
Right.
Does that get will that get a driver in trouble? Like, will there be repercussions for a driver if that happens? There
will be. One time it said in what's happened now with all this contactless delivery during the pandemic is you drop off a lot of the times, and I'm sure, as you know, you drop it off at the door. You don't bring it. You just take, I take the photo of it. Like, here's the picture of a burrito. It's at your front door. And then they come out and get it. And one time, apparently I put it to the wrong house. I didn't know, whoops.
That happened to me at one point too.
Really?
Where I ordered Indian food from this place, Bad Mosh in LA, and I just didn't show up. And I was like, where is it? And then they were like, it's dropped. They were like, it's been dropped off. And I was like, it's not here. I said that. And then they had dropped it off at another apartment. I found out after the fact.
Right.
But even then, that is like the tricky thing about, like, I never want to, for the people who are like hustling and getting stuff. And I think that so many delivery drivers and people who are delivering food are like hustling and doing a good job. And I'm sure that there's people who do a bad job, because there's people like our Doughboys podcast exists. So there's people that do bad jobs with everything. And we're an example of that. But like, there's people who do bad. There's people who probably don't do a great job at delivery. I'm sure those people exist too. But regardless, I don't want to get people who are great at their job or even bad at their job in trouble. I never want to get people in trouble. So it is like a difficult balance if something's missing, of like saying I always like to try to like blame it on like the company more than anything, because I like, Like
Yeah.
Postmates, I'm like, fuck Postmates as like
Right.
a company, but then I don't want to get anyone in trouble with if I'm having food delivered, and I get food delivered way too much. I like way more than I should. So
No, I hate confrontation, so I understand where you're
yeah.
coming from in a lot of ways. Like, and I'll say this: I'm curious how what your protocol is here. Like turning things around. If I have food delivered to my house, and I've
Mhm.
like I don't I don't understand the person. I guess stuff happens in life. Like I don't understand the person that's like I have to call, like if I'm the delivery driver and I have to call them, hey, I'm at your front door. I'm like, I'm the person that's tracking them, seeing where they are, making sure they're making the right route, analyzing every move. And then like what I do, my move is when the food comes, we're in like a two floors. So I'll look down on the first floor
Yeah.
and like make sure and creep out that they're doing it the right way. And then if they look up at me, kind of creep and hide. That's my protocol for the drop off. Do you have something that you do when somebody's dropping off food to you?
When I have people dropping off food, which in the LA is like constantly, I am a single man who lives alone, so I order food a lot. But no, usually, I'll wait. I'll check in until like it's like food is on the way,
Right.
and then that's like, especially now, like because you gotta like put on a mask and everything, and then I won't be checking it like kind of like I'll kind of let it be until like I know it's close to around the time, and then I'll just see where they are. It's always a bummer when I know this is a way that people have to make money, but if there's 2 deliveries and then it's like,
Yeah.
oh, like it's on the way, but then like the car vanishes or whatever, and you're like, oh shit, I don't know how long that's gonna be.
Yeah, it does suck.
Because Postmates will sometimes be like, you can do a bump up to get it sooner, and I never do that. I did that once when I was back. Honestly, when I was back in LA for a week, I shot something for like for one day.
Yeah.
And I used that once because I was like, I'm back, I'm gonna splurge, and the same thing happened. The car disappeared again, so I was like, it's just not worth doing it. But I feel bad. It's like a combination of like, I'm so specific about my food, and I like my food the way like I want my food order to be right, of course.
Sure.
And I'm very picky, but then also like I don't want to fucking be a pain in the ass to these people, and these people are like, hey, you're and yourself included, like it's heroes for people who are doing this and delivering food to people and not being paid as much as they should be. So I try not to be like, as they say, like Karen-y or whatever, or like I try not to be like, what's going on? What are you doing? Like I always just try to be thankful.
Sure.
And if like something big is missing, I definitely have said it before, but that's good to know. If there's a drink missing in the future, I don't think I'll just ever report it. That's because it's basically just like, oh, it's just like the difference of like, it's like adding on like a bit of tip. It's like $2. You know what I mean?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Jack, my roommate made fun of me once because we got Domino's and there's Domino's like 2 blocks away, and we got like cheese bread.
Yeah.
And there was and he didn't bring sauce. And I asked the guy, I was like, can you go back and get sauce? And I gave him $20.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
But that I just wanted sauce. So I gave him $20 to go back and get it. But my roommate, Jack Allison at the time, was like, you asshole, you're making that. I was like, I gave him $20.
Yeah.
And also he didn't get in trouble. He just went back and got it. But maybe he didn't even want $20. Maybe, you know what I mean? Like, but that is how I feel about it, is like, this is me being like a fat baby. And so like, if I'm going to like make you do something extra, then I'm going to like pay the toll of being a fat baby for it or something. So
exactly.
Yeah.
I know. I mean, I've one circumstance I had that was not similar, but different, was when I did a pickup from a Starbucks, and I had to take it to a woman that was working at CVS, but the order wasn't coming from her. It was coming from an ex-lover that wanted to get her back. So he sent me. So once I picked it up, there was like these instructions to give her the food. I'm like, this is the best moment of my life. This is great. So I drop it. So I get to the CVS, and I'm like, I'm looking for, I can't remember the name. Let's just say, Maria. They're like, now Maria doesn't work today. I'm like, oh no. So I call back this guy, and I'm like, hey, she's not at work. And he goes, I will Venmo you any amount of money if you just go, and I'll give you her apartment number and just drop it off, and I will just tip you extra. I was like, okay. I'm like, I'm fine to do that, but I'm not like going into her. Like, I'm just leaving it at the door. I don't want anything past that, but I'll do that for you. And I'm like, okay, I'll take it. I'll deliver it to the door and be gone. But I was bought. Basically, I was like, you got it. Like, let's roll.
That's
like,
wild.
Here's my Venmo account. Let's go do it.
Did he give you a good amount of cash? Or
Yeah, he gave me like $20, which was good. It's good for an extra 10.
Yeah.
Hell yeah. Like, I was totally into it.
It is tricky to like ask for, because like, yeah, you gotta know that like, oh, you're like privileged to have someone, like anyone who's ordering for these apps, like you're getting someone to go and do a task for you, and it's a pretty easy task that you could go and pick up food on your own, and it's like a pain in the ass, and they need to make money. So like, there's just a lot of it's tough. Why the co-host of Doughboys like never uses delivery apps, and I commend them for it, but also like, I'm sure that people who drive for delivery companies also want you to, they want to make money too,
right.
But like but then it's tricky. Those companies can be awful. It's just it's tricky. And then also like I said, like I wish that like I feel like I blame, like especially like Domino's or stuff like that. Like it's like they should just always get orders correct there, especially if you're ordering through an app. There should be no reason that like anything is ever missing. When it should be like a big processed thing of like, here's a bottle of Coke and like a pizza that is so like we just glop sauce on and put it through a conveyor belt. Like that should never really go wrong. But like everyone who works for these companies, I don't know, it is tricky. I never know how to feel. Like the way I deal with it is I just try to tip well, and that's basically all I can do. You know what I mean? Yeah. What I should do is like go and get the food myself, I guess. But
hey, so I use these apps all the time. I'm a driver. I'm a professional. I'm top of my game. But I also like to have people. I'm drinking. I'm like, I don't want to go out. I want somebody to
100%.
Yeah. So I get that. What is your reheating protocols? My cat's sneaking in here. My
cat was just jumping through here too.
Yeah, I'm just having like this anxiety because my cat. I know you're a big cat guy, so I appreciate you won't give me shit for it. But yeah, Leon wants to join the podcast.
No, Leon rules. I saw the top of Leon's head there.
Well, it's just
reheating.
Well, I'll just give you this little quick anecdote. I just always have to reheat. Obviously, like not sushi I'm doing, but I want the food to be piping hot like I have it at the restaurant. So what's your feelings on that?
I agree with it, and it is tricky. Like one of my go-to orders, I was like doing this like almost every like I was eating well besides this, but then my cheat day I was going pretty hard, where on and that term is stupid, I know, the cheat day, but like it was just like my day where I was like, I'm gonna just eat what I want to eat and not feel bad about it. And I would do, from this place All About the Bread, I would do a meatball sub, and I'd get a one of those glass bottle Cokes, and I would do a bag of what are those chips? The Hawaiian, like the barbecue, luau barbecue, maybe, I don't know, the Hawaiian chips. And then later that night, I would also go like usually late, like usually at like 9 or 10, which is terrible too. And I've tried to stop that, but I would go to Wendy's and get a spicy chicken sandwich meal, and then get also like a side burger. So like this is like a lot of calories. It's probably like 3,000 calories in the day. But when that meatball sub would come, I would always like it would never be like as hot as I want it to be. Yeah. But I also don't want to like overcook it when you're reheating. So I like will do just kind of like a small, like I'll do like 20 seconds in the microwave. I'll nuke it for a little bit. I think that it's all tricky. Like I know microwaves like ruin stuff, and I feel like if you're adding just a little bit of heat with a microwave, if you're adding like, if you put it in for like 15 to 20 seconds, I usually feel like that can be okay. But if it needs more than that, then like usually I'll try to do the oven, or I got an air fryer.
Ooh.
And the air fryer has been great for some stuff like that. Yeah, no, that's been huge. But the oven, see, I even did this the other night when we did a bar pizza tour. Like in the South Shore, we went around and had a bunch of different bar pizza, which is kind of like a weird Massachusetts thing. But I brought it back, and I brought it back for my mom, and she just reheated in the oven, and I was like, oh, we like kept it in even just for like 2 minutes too long, and it just felt like dried out. It just tasted, and it was like, this is like not, it was just cooled down. It wasn't even, you know what I mean? It wasn't even cold. Right. So I feel like, also, of course, the oven, to turn on the oven and heat it up and then like heat something up is a pain in the ass too. But what's your thing? Because I've heard so many people say like, oh, you pan fry like pizza, and I've never had too much success with pan frying them and stuff. So I don't know. But what do you do?
Well, we have a pizza stone at the house. So what I'll do is if I get
Wow.
next level stuff. If I know
Yeah.
that the if I know that the pizza's coming, I'll preheat the oven so that I'll time it when the food is at the house. That I make sure there's Leon is coming through. I'll make sure when the pizza comes to the house that I put it on the pizza stone and then do the correct amount of time just to get it nice and bubbly. It's probably, and I've mentioned this before, it's the one thing my wife and I probably fight the most about. When food comes, she's like, let's just eat it. I've been waiting 50 minutes. I'm hungry. And I'm like, Jessica, no. We have to make sure this is at the proper temperature. And then you know what it's like too when you're hungry and you're waiting for food and everything just seems like a bigger deal. So that's like our big point of contention is the reheating battle. And, you know, it's just one of those things in marriage that I've actually won on this one. I will say that we reheat the food.
I think it is a tricky thing because like I've been like, I'm not going to wait. I'm just going to eat this. And then I've eaten something and it's been like kind of like not cold, but you know, room temp or whatever. And then afterwards, I'm like, I'm bummed out. So now that treat of like this thing that I got delivered and I was excited about and whatever is like 1,000 calories or whatever, because you know that it's probably not usually that good for you. I'm like, now all of that and I wasn't that happy about it. Where like if you do take the time, I do usually try to like with that meatball sub or whatever it is, like I'll usually try to have it be warm. There's some stuff that I won't. Like I get like a lot of times I'll get salmon for lunch and like a salmon and rice plate from this Mediterranean restaurant. And if that's cooler, I'm like, well, there's like just not much I can do about it. You know what I mean? I'll just take it down. But those are like healthy. I get too much delivered. I don't cook. I'll go on a stretch where I get groceries and then I won't do takeout for like a couple months, and then I'll go back into the stretch of takeout and like be doing it for like sometimes twice a day. It's bad.
So then what's your protocol then on like which restaurant am I going to tonight? Is it based on just, you know, what am I feeling for the evening, or will you scout out Monday before the week starts? Like Monday's Indian night, Tuesday's Chinese food night. Like what's the game plan then to scout out the delivery for the evening?
I think for me that a lot of it is just I'm actually an okay like repeat eater, but like so I can eat at like the same restaurant every week. I think like and working in like rooms in LA or whatever, like a lot of people in who like are staffed on a show or whatever, like they'll get so sick of specific places where like Mendocino Farms or something, for instance, is like a place that's like in Tender Greens. These are places that people get like in writers' rooms and stuff all the time. And I was fine with Mendocino Farms because I like it and I could eat there almost every day. Like eventually, I will get tired and like want to change it up and like maybe get a sandwich instead of a salad. But a lot of the times I'm trying to get something that tastes good, but is also pretty healthy.
Yeah.
And can be delivered. So like I don't have to make. So a lot of the times it's like, like a tender green salad or a Mendocino Farm salad. And also like that's like a salad that's probably still going to be like 750 calories at the end of the day. But especially when I get meals delivered for dinner a lot of the time, which are like low calorie that are like usually 500 calories or less. And so with the combination of the two, I'm like, oh, this is like, you know, this like a salad, this may be high in calories, but also like it's lettuce and meat and it can't be like too terrible for you. And
you
like
don't
as
feel
opposed
as
to like
bad.
I know that this, you don't feel as bad, like, you know, like you're actually putting greens in your body. Like it does feel like that sort of thing of like, oh, this feels pretty good. And so like I'll do so stuff like that for lunch is like usually I'll never usually eat poorly at lunch. And then dinner, when I get dinner delivered, it depends. I mean, like I've been doing those meals for a long time, but if I do get dinner delivered, it will usually be like Mediterranean food, like something warm. I'll want like salmon and rice or chicken and rice, and some sort of Mediterranean food. And then like if I'm doing bad, like, you know, like I'll get fucking chicken, like Nashville fried chicken and shit like that. Like that's if I'm being bad. But I usually try to be bad on the weekends. But
yeah.
That being said, all I've had to eat today was not all I've had to eat today, but today I had a Costco hot dog and a chicken bake from Costco, which is not good for you at all. And that was my lunch today. So
Was it good?
it was. I mean, the Costco hot dogs are great. My mom and I have been planning a trip to Costco for a while. And so she had never been to Costco, and we were going to like just see if there was anything we could get that was like big that would be helpful.
Yeah.
We got some paper towels or whatever, but we on the way out, we both got a hot dog and
Nice.
it's fun. It's good. It's great. It's a good hot dog, but like I don't usually eat lunch like that almost ever. If anything, like especially since I've been home, I do like a turkey sandwich. Like that's usually what I'll do.
And then from being in LA in the Boston area, is there a noticeable difference with let's say like the speed, the restaurants, the drivers, just the overall like East Coast, West Coast battle here with food delivery?
I will say that like in LA, deliveries are kind of tough because it is just the thing of you're battling LA traffic. So when I am ordering in LA, like it's better honestly to order like on like weird off hours of like either like a late lunch, like 2 or 3, or like usually later in the dinner cycle, like because it's 7 o'clock, like just anywhere you want to get food from, like there's just traffic and it's a fucking shit show. And then, but the plus side to LA is that there's so much good food.
Yeah.
There's so many good options, and you can like truly get anything you want. And places usually do stay open later. Like in Quincy, it's like it's a city, but it's like it's a smaller city. It's like 100,000 people, and it's just it's tricky. Like by 7 o'clock, you better be like kind of prepared for what you want to get. There's not too many options, but as far as like delivery stuff goes, it's gone pretty smooth for me here. I've heard from some people that like some of them can fuck up, but there's some like, I don't know if it's DoorDash or Grubhub or whatever, but some of them use like the actual place's delivery people, which is kind of interesting. Yeah. So like there was this place Tony's, and I got a sub from Tony's not too long ago, and the guy from Tony's is the one who delivered, like the delivery driver from Tony's delivered it.
Interesting.
So like, and that's like a place that comes in like 10 minutes. So like, I haven't had like a bad experience as far as deliveries out here, but I think it is more so the thing of like, there's probably less drivers.
Yeah.
And there's just less options. So like, I'm sure that's the thing you run into of like trying to find a driver and stuff like that more. But LA is just like, I mean, there's a lot of people doing it. There's a lot of restaurants. It's just really is like the rates will always spike when there's like, oh, it's like when the lightning bolt is on or whatever. Like there's like, oh, there's like too many people ordering right now. And then like just that sort of thing with at like 7 o'clock, 8 o'clock, it's just traffic is terrible. And then I feel like in LA, you will see mistakes like a lot, because I think it is just that sort of thing of like run and get this food. And a lot of the times they're doing like at least 2 orders per delivery.
Right.
And it's people just trying to like rush it and get it out, which I don't fault them. That's what they have to do. You know what I mean? So
yeah. No, errors can occur because
I feel like I want to make sure. What's that? Say that again?
I was gonna say errors occur because I mean the truth of the matter is it's 3 parties. There's the restaurant, the driver, and then the person getting the food. So at some point, like if one of those make a mistake, the whole thing's screwed, and you can always track it back. Like you don't know where the mistake really occurred.
Oh, 100%. No, I want to make sure that I do not sound like an asshole when I say this. Like I truly believe that like if you're ordering food, like you should. Like you're being a little baby and getting it, like, you know what I mean, like I do it all the time, and I know that, but like it's like it's a luxury to have something like that happen. So like I'm just saying, if there is a difference, like that definitely is a thing of like, oh, there are like mistakes for sure more I think in LA than here, but you see mistakes everywhere. That's a common thing.
Yeah, and don't worry, there's nobody from LA listens to my podcast, so even if we can just the LA drivers suck, don't worry about it. What if your go-to order after a Celtics win, because you're a diehard Boston Celtics fan, compared to your go-to order after, and this is a big game. Well, let's
play hypotheticals here. Celtics, Lakers, NBA Finals 2021. Jaylen Brown layup for the win in Game 7. Just misses the layup, and the Celtics lose by a point. He just all of a sudden forgot how to make a layup. I guess that's the go-to order after the loss. And let's say, for example, he made the layup, win the title. Go-to order after the win.
After the win, all right, I'll go after the win first, because after the win, I'd probably do something like, I definitely do something to like treat myself. It would be like a fun meal. And then I would like, there's a possibility that it just would be pizza, because I love pizza. I'm a big pizza fan. So like to get like a big pizza and everybody is eating pizza and celebrating and having beers and stuff, that's fun too. And then if they lost, it would be like more of like the shameful private, I'm gonna like eat the like something like gross, like say we're getting pizza and then like, oh, I'm getting like this pizza place that's good, and I'm getting like a big large cheese pizza and this place is like known to be good. And then if they lose, it's like, oh, I'm doing like kind of the more shameful version of that. Is like I'm getting like a ton of Domino's or something. You know what I mean? Like specifically something like gross that I still love. Like I like Domino's pizza, but I know that it's different from other pizza. You know what I mean? So I'm gonna like, I probably would like maybe even eat worse after they lost. I'm not eating well either way. Like it's just like if I go into it with in the mindset of like, oh, I'm gonna like have something good to eat because it's like I'm celebrating like the Celtics in the finals or whatever, and so it's not going to be like a healthy meal really. But then if they lose, it's like, yeah, I'm more likely to get like, oh, I got like fucking 3 sandwiches from Wendy's or something like that sort of like, and I love Wendy's too, but like, and if they win, it would be like, let's get like a fancier good food to celebrate. You know what I mean? Like Dave's hot chicken or something, or like, you know, like a hot chicken sandwich or something like that, that comes to mind because that's right now is one of the LA is like hot chicken. That is like one of their big things. I feel like right now where like it was burgers like a decade or so ago. And now it is just hot chicken. So there's so many hot chicken places that come up on Postmates and Uber Eats and stuff like that.
And if there was one current Celtic, although we're recording this like during the NBA free agency trade period, so maybe they're not even on the team, who knows? But if there was one current Celtic, you'd want to have Uber Eats or a delivery service come to you. Which current player would you want to be having that meal with and waiting for the food to arrive to your house?
Well, I don't want to spoil too much, but I recently ran into Taco Fall on a flight to LA.
Nice.
And
that must have been miserable for him.
He was in first class and he was stretched up, but he's a tall drink of water, man. He is for sure tall. And because I'm big, but I'm not super tall. I'm like 6'2", but he, like, I was like, wow, this is like I'm looking up to this person. It's really, he's wild. But I talked to him about coming on the podcast, so we'll see what happens. I don't want to give too much away, but yeah.
All right.
We've been in contact, so
very nice. All right. Well, I'll do some rapid fire questions here. Mitch, I appreciate you coming on the podcast. Leon's just going to hang with me for a few minutes. This is on me.
Hell yeah.
This is his time to eat, and I totally fucked it up because he is so hungry right now. So he just wants to be involved in the podcast, and at this point, there's nothing I can do to stop it. So rapid fire here. First thing that comes to your mind, I want to hear your honest answer, and I just ask for your honesty, okay?
Okay.
Cake or pie?
Well, there was some controversy where I said cupcakes are pie at one point on the podcast, and people got mad at me. I'm gonna go pie.
Okay.
You know, it's hard for me because I love cake, and I like chocolate cake. I'm a fan of chocolate. And at Costco earlier today, like I got that gene from my mom, I guess, because she's a big chocolate cake fan. We were eyeing some chocolate cakes in Costco that were like fucking gigantic, like 40-inch cakes, chocolate cakes.
Matilda chocolate cakes, if you've seen that movie.
Just gigantic, exactly, same size. And so like I do love cake, and I guess if it was chocolate cake, I maybe would choose chocolate cake almost over almost anything usually. But pie is just like, like pecan pie and even an apple pie and like a strawberry rhubarb, and you get some ice cream and it's heated up. Like, I feel like they're just more they're just more versatile. You know what I mean? Like you can get a lot more out of pie. I feel like you can heat it up. It's great. But I also love cake. I'm not like a huge frosting guy.
Okay.
I've always liked like the cake part of the cake, and I do like frosting on it, obviously, but like I don't like the big chunks toward the ends that are like super frosting, So
they can get a little crispy at the top.
Yeah. I'm going pie. What is your choice?
My choice is cake, and I've asked this question to my wife, and I said, would you rather have cake or pie? And she said, and I quote, pie can suck a dick. So with that in mind, yeah, I know, a little much. And again, as we started with this podcast, sex life better than it's ever been. But yeah, that's my answer on that one. All right, next question I got for you.
All right,
go ahead.
I'm a recent like I feel like I'm like a recent convert to the pie camp, because I feel like I was cake forever. I mean, I love cake, and my mom's not here before Thanksgiving. I ordered one cake dessert and then like a pie cakein, which is like it's like a bunch of it's
That's amazing.
It's like a pumpkin pie and
oh my God,
a pecan pie, all like in a cake, and like an apple pie, like all within this cake.
Unbelievable. That sounds
so we'll see how it is. I mean, it might be awful, but I hope it's good.
Right. It's either going to go one or two directions. It's going to be the best thing you ate, or you're like, how am I consuming all three of these things at the same time?
Here's Irma, by the way, too. She's doing the same thing.
Yeah, there's nothing. I mean, and I know you're a cat person. So, but we got this cat, Leon, from the woods, like in Indiana, PA. My wife's brother's wife's parents, whatever that is, don't have to follow along. It's impossible. But they got him in the woods, and they got him. And I was so anti this. I'm like, oh, I don't want a cat. I don't want a cat. And now I have a cat, and I'm like, I couldn't. I'm like, I don't know how I could live without you.
You love Leon. I mean, I get it.
It's the best.
How old is Leon?
Leon's about 4+ years.
Oh wow! So he's Wally and Irma's age. They're right around the same age.
Yeah, maybe one day they'll get together and hang out.
I would love it. I was the same way. I would love for them to have some. I would love to take my cats on a play date. I think it would be fantastic. But I was never huge. I was never like I was always a huge cat fan. I loved cats because we hadn't grown up, but I was never like a fan of the idea of having cats as like a single man adult. So like I was like,
it's amazing. No, that's great.
2 cats, but then I love them. They rule. They
rule.
They make me happier.
They do. Like we have a 9-week baby now that's in the house, and
congratulations.
Thank you very much. But when I come home from doing Uber Eats, he doesn't walk to the door and come say hi to me. Leon the cat does. So I'm like, the cat can do it. Like, this is my dude.
He's got to catch up.
He's got to catch up. All right. Pancake or waffle?
I feel like I'm going to pick the wrong thing for you again, but I'm going to go waffle. And I know that's like everyone chooses pancakes.
It's fine.
No, look, I love both of them.
Yeah.
I love both, but my dad he had a waffle maker back in the day, a Belgian waffle maker, and so I just love a good waffle with butter and syrup. That's all you got to do. Blueberry pancakes, damn, I love them. I mean, like, I'm a big fan of pancakes, but waffles, to me, if well made, are the best.
They're a little more elegant. I'll have to give you that. And there's been a lot more waffles to this answer than I will say that I was expecting. So there are a lot of waffle. I was sort of surprised by that. All right, let me give you real quick an Uber Eats scenario here. If you had to pee and you were the delivery driver and you had to pee so badly, and you were like, I can't take this. And now let me give you 2 options. Option A is you pee in a bottle. And let's just say this is pre-pandemic, and we're doing it because I don't want to. This is just a scenario. Nothing like this will happen. It's you pee in the bottle, or you drop off the food at the person's house and you're like, hi, Dennis, I know we don't know each other. I know I'm dropping off lo mein and sesame chicken to your house. Can I use your bathroom?
Wow. That's a tough, if a delivery driver asked me if they could use my bathroom that same way, I would say sure, and I wouldn't care. Because how can you care in that scenario? That's, of course, use the restroom. Right. And I feel for anyone in situations like that, because I'm like a guy who has a fucked up stomach, and I usually like have to run to the bathroom a lot of the time, and it's a nightmare.
Right.
But for me personally, like sitting down in the car and peeing, I don't think I'm built that way. Like, it's hard to do, first of all. I don't think I like to maneuver it all. I don't think I have the length to do all that, of like to figure it out, to like get it into like a water bottle or a Gatorade bottle. I feel like I would probably ultimately piss on my pants, especially if you're sitting down. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know. Like, would you stand up? It's like very hard to figure out what you would do.
Yeah.
And so I feel like I wouldn't do that. Like, I feel like more likely I would probably pull over and like piss in the woods or something.
That's too easy of an answer, so that's why it's
too easy. Yes. Oh, no, 100%. So if it was the two, I'll tell you, I would probably choose the bottle and like end up pissing on myself because I would be too afraid. I would be too nervous to ask someone to do it. But if they asked me, I wouldn't care. So that's like the thing of like, I mean, like maybe in some scenario, if it was like a big ass house and they were like kind of like in the middle of nowhere, but again, I would just be going in the woods at this point, or like a big ass house like in the city, and like it was really hard to like pull that off. I would probably be like, do you mind if I use your bathroom like very quick and like try to make it seem like I'm not going to take a shit in your bathroom? I would kind of want to make that clear to them. Sure. You know what I mean? But
right.
But then that's like maybe the only I would do. Besides that, I'm probably just going in the car. And if it was like an emergency, I don't think I would ever ask someone who I just delivered to or whatever to use their bathroom to go number two. I just don't think I could do it. No. I don't know if I could do it.
Yeah,
I would be mortified. I would be like more like I would be like too in my own head to do it. I think honestly I would like drop off their food and get in my car and like shit my pants more likely.
Yeah, I would too. I'm with you. Like, there's no shot in hell I could ever go to somebody's house I just met and be like, I just have to shit my brains out so badly. Don't mind me while you enjoy your lovely dinner from this delicious Italian restaurant. It's going to be the broccoli rabe is going to be great. Just don't mind me. I'll be out here for give me 4 minutes.
That's the other tough part is it is the food scenario of like, oh, I'm giving them food. And so, and then like I have to use it. It would be tough to ask that question. I don't think I could pull the trigger on that.
And then the final one for me, and I just asked for your complete honesty is all I ask. You're sending out wedding invitations in 6 to 12 months. Do I get invited to your wedding?
6 to 12 months. You know what? It depends on the back and forth after this, I think.
Okay. So there's a shot still.
There's still a shot, yes.
Okay.
But hey, I got good news for you. It's not happening in 6 to 12 months. But
it's a hypothetical. You never know.
It's a hypothetical. If in the 6 to 12 months, if we keep talking and we keep it going, then yeah, I'd toss you an invite. Why the hell not?
Yeah, and the cat play dates. I mean, like if our cats are having dates together, I would expect I get a date, right?
How can I think Leon himself would maybe get an invite to the wedding, possibly.
Awesome. Well,
sit
Mitch,
at Wally and Irma's table.
That's right. Right. The cat. Here's the cat table. This is not strange at all. And then there. Please keep socially distance when you eat your litter or you eat your pate. Not
Leon's eating litter. What the fuck's going on?
That was a mistake. Yeah. Let me just say this disclaimer: Leon does not eat litter. I clean his litter and dump it in a bag.
All right. I got a question for you.
Yeah. Let's hear it.
I got to turn it on you for a second,
please.
Am I doing it wrong? As an Uber driver, I want to know because I want to do right by the drivers. That's what was important to me. So So I already got some info where I'm like,
Mm-hmm.
okay, if your drink or something small is missing, forget about it. You know what I mean? It's a couple bucks. Who gives a shit?
Sure.
And I also think that you probably do a great job too. And I'm sure that, like I said, there's like 99%. So when would it be okay? Should you just never ever send in a thing? Because I definitely have said a thing of like, my food isn't here or something, when like that scenario where it was dropped off to the wrong place. Is there scenarios where you should say something? Should you never say anything ever? Am I doing it wrong? What's the best way to do? Should you tip high? Like, of course, that's what I try to do, is tip high, but like, hit me up with everything, because I want to know.
As somebody that's done more than 1,700 deliveries in his life and has a 99% satisfaction rating, which is a true story. I have gotten some thumbs down,
Wow.
but I don't know why. That's for another time. You're doing everything great. I want to bulk up your confidence here for real. You're doing a good job.
Yeah.
It sounds like you've got the protocol down. I didn't ask about tipping because I knew what the answer was going to be. And you've kind of alluded to it earlier. You're tipping well. You're making sure that you're taking care of the driver. The $20 story about the Domino's pizza, just looking for the sauce, was an all-time winner there. You're doing a great job. You should feel good about yourself. You should feel like you're doing everything right. And I have to say kudos to you for being a great Uber Eats, Postmates, DoorDash, Grubhub. I am forgetting them all customer. So you're doing awesome.
It's hard because it is a tricky thing where you want to do right by people who are out there doing it, and especially now, food service, like the food service industry is they're heroes, and people delivering those meals are heroes, and just as much as everyone else who's working during all of this. But for real, feeding people and people who are alone, like, that's heroic work, and I want to do the right thing by them. You know what I mean? I know that tipping is a big part of that battle, but then I also don't want to be a pain in the ass to those people. So like, that is the tricky thing, is like, when you do deliver, like, there is a chance that you're not going to be satisfied. Like you're like we were just saying earlier, of like and that's the thing that I'll never ever complain about. And I don't think it's worth complaining about if your food is cold. It's like, well, you got delivery. So like,
right.
You can never, that's like never a thing that you should complain about. But other stuff of like, things are missing, that's the only time usually when I will do it. But and usually I don't even say anything when the drink is missing, but good to know not to. So I'm gonna stand by that rule from here on out.
Nah, it's true though, and I mean this. I like doing some of these interviews too, because I think there's a lot of like a back and forth that's learned for the customer and the driver too. Like, I'm sure trying to know what's on like the back end of like I've been trying to do this forever and I can't get a hold of them, and I don't think it's possible. I'm dying to get somebody on from like corporate, from Uber Eats. Like, I have so many questions as the driver, like, how does this all work and come together? But I do think, for people, and talking to me, the delivery driver, and then I get to talk to the customer, I do think it helps, make the process for everybody better. It really does.
For sure. No, I think it's a new, it's a relatively new world. Not that delivery is new, but apps and kind of delivery based apps have changed the world in many ways, and it's only going to continue like that. And I think that, like, to get things right for the restaurant and for the drivers, that's like the two things I care about way more before I care about like the actual app company.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what's important to me, is that I want to make sure that people are getting paid and that restaurants are making their money, because that's why I still eat out. It's like, one, it does feel good to give a tip to someone who's like a delivery driver, and you can give a good tip to them and you can help them with their income, and that can feel good if you're giving a nice enough tip. And then also, like, supporting restaurants is important right now too. And so, like, figuring out how it works and the best way to make it work is what I wanted. Also, it's good to hear from people like you. We should hear from more people like you and from restaurants. You know what I mean? Because that bill passed in California, or whatever, the proposition that seems kind of shitty. And I was talking to, I was taking an Uber to the airport, and I was asking the driver about it, and he was like, fucking, I hate that shit. And I was like, oh yeah. And I mean, I knew which way I was voting anyways, but then there was a huge campaign on it, and it passed, and it's bad news and I'm like, I think a lot of the world doesn't know this. I think a lot of people, like, your regular Joe doesn't know what it's like to be a delivery person, or who's making these deliveries, and how much money they're making and stuff like that. So I think I think it's good to get that stuff out there as much as possible, because the people who benefit from it are the people who should benefit from it, which are the restaurants and the drivers. So.
Well, Mitch, that was a very nice closing statement. I liked bringing it full circle. You warmed my heart. You know, it was like a tip without the money. You got right to me.
Well, as a piece of shit who delivers so much, that's all I can do. I got to be on the right side of it. So, and fantastic. I'm happily on the right side of it. Yeah, heroes for real.
Mitch, thanks for jumping on the Mike Delivers podcast. I appreciate it.
Thanks, dude.
Thank you, Mitch, for hopping on the Mike Delivers podcast. Loved your answer regarding, would you rather pee in a bottle, or would you rather have the audacity, have the courage, have the gumption to say, excuse me, can I use your restroom? I just met you. I'm dropping off your shrimp lo mein, but I really got to pee. I loved his answer there, and I can't wait for our cats to have a play date. That's going to be a lot of fun. Thank you, Mitch, for coming on the Mike Delivers podcast. When I started the interview with Mitch, I talked about how I forgot to give somebody a drink, and this is the first time that ever happened. So recording this part of the podcast after I have already chatted with Mitch, and this wasn't exactly my fault, but I just want to have a little follow-up to it. Dropped off somebody from Anthony's Cold Fire Pizza, and they got a pizza, garlic knot, and wings. So I got the pizza, and then I got a side bag, which I assume has the garlic knots and wings. Now, I dropped off the food. It was actually my last delivery of the night. Started driving home, and I got a phone call from this weird 415 number, which is actually California. But the way it works is if somebody's calling you through Uber Eats, like the customer, they don't want to give away their cell phone. So what they do is they use a third-party app, and then I get a phone call from a random number that Uber Eats is using for this customer. And the guy's like, dude, I didn't get the chicken wings. I got the garlic knots and the pizza, but not the wings. And I had to explain to him, like, yeah, it's kind of my fault, but I can't go into the bag and assume what's in there is correct or incorrect. I just have to just acknowledge that this restaurant, and in this case, Anthony's Cold Fire Pizza, did it correctly. Now, when I was on the phone with him and I was telling him this, he did understand. And this is why I'm so surprised, too. I still have a 100% rating. I thought maybe this would be a thumbs down. He did tip me, but I did a good job on the phone of convincing him it was the restaurant's fault, which it ultimately was. But I just want to say this, and maybe this is where I could have been a little more truthful. I did not double check the items, right? That the bag was correct with garlic knot and the chicken wings. So I'm just going to be full disclosure here. If I was holding a bag and I only felt one item, I should have recognized that it was one item short. Now, this is going above and beyond, but if I'm going to pride myself on being the best Uber Eats fucking driver out there, this is probably something I should have caught. Now, I got lucky in this circumstance. Unless this guy listens to the podcast, then he's going to email me and say, like, what the fuck, dude? But in the moment, I had to defend myself, and I had to shift the blame onto the restaurant. Sorry, Anthony's Cold Fire Pizza. I apologize. It was your fault. But I guess what I'm saying is I could have done a better job in recognizing that the box or the bag that I was carrying did feel like it had one item and it was a little bit empty. So I just had to get that off my chest. But hey, I'm the one with the 100% satisfaction rating. Maybe I'm getting a little too cocky here. I've got to be careful. One other loose end I want to get to before we wrap up here on the Mike Delivers podcast. If you go back a couple of episodes ago when I had my conversation with Ryan Ruocco, the play-by-play voice for the Nets, and I asked him about the wedding conversation, would I be invited to his wedding? And he laughed it off like, of course not. Ha ha ha. It was a good answer. But the point is, I didn't realize he was getting married like 2 days later. I had no fucking clue. So Ryan Ruocco, if you are listening to this, you should have told me you were getting married in 2 days, and I wouldn't have even have asked the question. I thought that was extremely funny when I'm like, can I, you invited me to your wedding? And he like instantly, he's like, absolutely not. And then I find out, of course, he's getting married in 2 frickin' days. Can't make this shit up. This has been episode 129 of the Mike Delivers podcast. Thank you to Mike Mitchell, Mitch, for hopping on, the guy from the Doughboys. Awesome podcast. You got to check out his podcast. I really recommend it. Thank you to the Beautiful Noise. They are the soundtrack to the Mike Delivers podcast. And without them, these pods, these episodes would not be the same. Episode 130 comes out on Thursday. A new battle will start. Those details to come soon. Don't forget the Mike Delivers Patreon page. Spaghetti Battle, Olive Garden, local joint. That's coming out this weekend also. So much great content. Thank you, everybody. Thank you guys for downloading. Thank you for listening. This has been episode 129. We'll see you next time for 130.